Okay, now let's look at a pretty complex example. We're going to use the list view. I know you've seen one before and it'll be pretty obvious what it is. A list view just displays rows of different widgets. Contain checkboxes, images, pictures, whatever you want. It's pretty popular. What we're going to do is we're going to download a list of countries off the internet and display them to the user. To do that, we have to import a few things first. We're going to import the HTTP package, and we're going to make that a variable. We're going to import the async package. Let's import convert. And last but not least, let's import IO. Now, we want to actually make the function here that's going to download things, but we need a variable to shove it into. So we're going to say map. We're going to say countries equal new map. I'm going to say void get data. Mark this as async because we're going to be working with a network call. And from here, we're going to say, and I'm going to do a little copy and pasting off screen. Var URL equals, and this is where we're going to download from, country.io/names.json. And what that's going to do is return a 2-letter representation of the country along with the full name. So we're getting a map in JSON form. If you don't know what JSON is, it's just a different way of representing data in a text format. We're going to get that URL, and then we're going to check status. If you have no idea what 200 means, it means the server returned the data okay and there were no issues. Now we're going to do a set state. And you guessed it, we're just going to simply slam that data into the countries. We're going to say JSON decode. And we want to decode the response body. So basically what we're doing is we're taking everything that we just downloaded off the internet, decoding it through JSON, and then converting it into a map that we call countries and setting it as the state of the application. And we're just going to say loaded, and we just want to verify what's going on here under the hood. There we go. So that is our beautiful little get data function here. Now what we need to do is, you guessed it, display some countries. We're going to set that to bold. Now comes the real heart of the tutorial here. What we're going to do is we're going to use an expanded, because the list view can be a little greedy. And we're going to make a new list view. But we're going to use the list view builder. And as you can see, the first thing it wants is an item builder. That gets a little kooky. What is an item builder? Well, item builder is just simply a way of saying, hey, we know that you want some data, but we want it templated, meaning we want everything exactly the same. So first thing we need to do is give it an item count. We're going to say country's length. And for the sake of argument, I like to actually just move this up above the builder. That way it just reads a little more fluid. So now that we've got our builder, what's really going on here is it's going to come down, it's going to render and say, hey, make a list view inside of an expanded, meaning determine how much screen you actually need. What the list view builder is going to do is it's going to say, hey, call an internal function, probably called build, using a list of items. We need to know how many items there are in order to determine how big it's going to be. Then, item builder. Builder is, well, just that. It's going to build everything out on the screen. So we're going to say build context. And we want an index. And inside of here, let's get the current key. That way we can reference the current item. So really what it's doing is it's iterating through the map and saying 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. And on each item, it's going to call this item builder, and it's going to actually render it out on the screen. Now, you should note that Flutter is pretty intelligent. It doesn't render things that it doesn't need. So it's sitting in memory, and this builder can be called dynamically. Whew, that's a mouthful. Let's actually go return, new row, and in here, we'll say children. And for the children, we're just going to say new text. And let's just print out that key. And in here, we're just going to say countries and then whatever key we have. Got a bit of a boo-boo going on here. It's expecting something. It's looking to find, I'm guessing, this guy right here. Bang. All right, hot reload. And you can see there's absolutely nothing. So what we need to do is actually get our data. There's two ways of doing this, and each one comes with a little bit of a caveat. The first one is you can do it in the build, which, as you can see, it said loaded 250 countries, which means every time that it's going to re-render, it's going to build. So, for example, if we flip the phone, it's going to go back out, make another network call, and load more countries here. That can be a little cumbersome because you can keep adding and adding and adding to that map and getting more and more and more. And before you know it, the whole thing's just going to die. Didn't like being flipped that way, apparently. Let's try flipping it this way. There we go. My emulator got a little finicky here, but you can see how it's just saying loaded, 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 and it's just going to continue to load those things. Let's clear this out. And let's actually do this a different way. We're going to control O, bring this up, and we're going to say init state. This is the initial state, and in init state, we're going to say get the countries. If you look at this, you can see there was a whole lot of loading going on there. Those are all the network calls we made every time it said loading 250 countries. A whole lot of it. Let's rerun this. And it's going to take a second just to generate the APK and upload it to the phone. And here we go. Here's our list of countries. And let's flip the phone and see what happens. You can see how it re-rendered everything, but it did not make another network call. Let's actually pull this up so it's pretty obvious what's going on here. And let's flip the phone around a few times just to see what's going on. So it's re-rendering it, but it's not going out making another network call. Remember, mobile devices run on a battery, and things like network calls and using the internet are pretty memory intensive and battery expensive. So you want to kind of limit those as much as possible. The problem here is with init state, if this times out, one of two things are going to happen. Either your application is going to appear to freeze, or Flutter's just simply going to skip right over it and say, nope, took too long, and it's going to show the application and you're not going to have any data. So you run a risk either way. If you're going to ask my personal opinion, you should use init state and then just verify that this isn't going to take too long to download. If it is going to take too long to download, make another asynchronous call that's going to pull the data in the background and maybe show a progress to the user. That's kind of an intermediate to advanced topic that we will cover in other series.